Good evening, Red Star Rebels. It's March 14th, 2023. This is podcast season 3, episode number 7. We are Red Star Report. I'm Hal G. Lohr, and this is Voices for the California Nation. For Red Star Report, part of our mission to promote the idea and ideals of a free and independent California and our widely shared California values, we develop working relationships and coalitions with people and organizations who basically share those progressive California values. We are Red Star Report, the hashtag New Cal Exit Media voice of the real grassroots California independence movement. It's all about the algorithms. If you've been following Red Star Report for any length of time, you've heard these things. And chances are, if you've been listening lately, you may have also heard Red Star Report segments on the absolutely iconic, listener-supported, largest non-commercial progressive radio broadcaster in America, KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. Now, over the years, KPFK and Pacifica Broadcasting have faced plenty of threats, from Republicans who simply hate the left as un-American, from Democrats who see progressive values as a campaign finance obstacle, from the CIA who are always operating under the Cold War fear of the Red Menace, and from American law enforcement and the FBI who see any unfettered voice calling for human rights as an open rebellion against the status quo they're sworn to protect and serve. But today, the most immediate threat to KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles is coming from a bitter internal struggle. For more on this, we present another edited to conclusion segment brought to you in their own words from the KPFK press conference from last Thursday, March 9th. Roll it.
KPFK is not for sale. 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 So, thank you so much. I really want to welcome you all to coming and supporting KPFK Pacifica and Pacifica Radio. Oh, what happened to this one? I want to welcome you all. Thank you for supporting the station. We are in the moment under tremendous threat of having this station sold. And so I want to make a few general statements, and then I want to read this announcement, which we will also send to the national board, which is at the center of this whole conflict, and hope that they will change their ways and hope that they will reconsider. So this building has been made specifically for Pacifica. All of you might know that it was built in 1970, and it was built for this radio station, custom made. And so now, if we are asked to move, there's a lot of antennas on the roof that have to have a direct eyesight to the St. Wilson Mountain. And so, since this is very difficult to move these antennas, it's very difficult to get all the equipment out, it's very expensive. The move will end Pacifica and KPFK as it is. And so I want to make a statement that I'm going to read now. There's a crucial development in Los Angeles KPFK. The PNB in 2022 has voted to investigate the most advantageous sale of our KPFK building. The final vote to sell this building hasn't even been done yet. And our KPFK LSB has responded a week after the initial motion that we anonymously have made a resolution to condemn and protest the sale of this building. However, the PNB has put it on the market anyway for a mere $4,999,000 And so the majority of these funds are already spoken for. They have been allocated to pay off certain loans for 2.5 million, and also accounts payable of about 2 million. And that still leaves Pacifica in debt with about 2 million in the idle loan to be paid back, and a first quarter operating debt of $740,000. So that means Pacifica KPFK will not receive the money it needs to relocate. We cannot buy a building and we cannot rent a building from the meager amount that will be left over from the sale of this building if the PNB goes ahead with this plan. This is why we're fighting it, because it's very dangerous. It might end us as we speak. And every month more people are coming in. The reason why there's not more people working out of KPFK, because it was on total lockdown for 2.5 years during COVID. We actually have right now started negotiations with an audiobook company to use some of our extra space. Also, what's important, KPFK is on the rise. So its market share has more than doubled in the past 3 months. So it makes good business sense to cover expenses between all the stations while KPFK is recovering, just like KPFK has done for other stations in the past. Los Angeles real estate market is among the most expensive in the nation. We will not be able to buy another location, nor will we be able to rent a reasonable location, because we can't get a place that allows these antennas that is in the eyesight of Mount Wilson and it is affordable. So for this reason, it basically makes it impossible for KPFK to operate. So the PNB Technology Task Force will hear from professional radio engineers about costs and consequences of the forced move on the 18th of March. So imagine this, they have decided to sell this building without getting this information before. So another thing, every business MBA will tell you that you do not sell off your most expensive assets to cover running costs. So the PNB has made multiple questionable decisions to steer Pacifica through this crisis. So the PNB has also failed to direct policies towards substantial savings in staff and operation in time, allowing the foundation to run ever deeper into debt. So the hurried KPFK building sale attempt without contingency plans seems designed as a retaliatory move to destroy KPFK, muzzle any opposition, and turn KPFK into a repeater station, mainstreamed soft news, infotainment, and propaganda. So it's very important we keep this station going. If we move from this building, we will not be able to do so. Don't believe the hype that they say, oh yeah, we find something for you. They put this building on the market without a contingency plan, without telling us anything about where we could go, and this would mean the end of KPFK. Please fight for keeping this building. There are many practical ways how this can be done. But we here at KPFK have worked very hard with volunteers to make this station a really proud beacon of information for the progressive community. So since the foundation has disallowed the KPFK LSB from talking about our situation on the air, nor allows us to meet and to post meetings at KPFTX, nor use any Pacifica resources, we are holding this press conference today to inform the public and our members of how KPFK has been treated by the foundation. We have been bullied, disrespected, and threatened in letters and in our LSB meetings to stay quiet and to accept the dismantling of our station. This is no way to run a station. This is no way to run a station. So I am asking the Pacifica family to reconsider the sale of the KPFK building and to ask the current PNB to come back into compliance with the bylaws, the California Corporate Code, and the wishes of their voting members. And so we want to fight to get back into representing workers, representing unions, representing activists, representing everything that KPFK and Pacifica stood for before this hostile takeover by corporate people who say, in the name of professional journalism, that we have to do these kind of mainstream softwash news that NPR is doing because they're getting money from Citibank. So they cannot be critical. We can say whatever we want on the air because we're not taking this money. And this is how it has to stay. This is why we depend on our listeners. We depend on the people. They have to hear from us. They have to know that we exist. There has been no outreach, no real rebranding campaign or campaign to even make Pacifica known. This should be the job of the PNB, not to sabotage one of the most important stations in America. Okay, so I want to end this speech by saying that in a time of corrupt governments and reckless corporate greed and loss of public trust and authority, Pacifica must hold itself to higher standards to be the beacon of hope we set out to be. Our mission statement demands that we stand together, quote, contributing to a lasting understanding between nations and individuals of all nations, races, creeds, and colors, and are committed to peace and social justice. The same principles must be upheld within the Pacifica Foundation.
KPFK!
Not for sale! KPFK! Not for sale! KPFK! Not for sale! KPFK! Not for sale! KPFK! Not for sale!
Hashtag KPFK Not For Sale is an initiative started by KPFK members that they have taken a stand for broad grassroots support from all 5 Pacifica stations. During this time of rising authoritarian rule and increasing U.S. media censorship, we as Californians need to recognize KPFK and Pacifica Radio, that it just may be more important for the people of California than ever. For a shining California future, keeping beacons of democracy, liberty, and real public free speech like KPFK lit may be the only shining stars we'll see in the gathering darkness of the coming election cycles. For the California independence movement, I'm going to leave that right there. For more information, Red Star Report suggests that you visit www.kpfknotforsale.org to find out more about the fight to save KPFK and Pacifica Radio and how to get involved. That link we will have pasted below. This is Voices for the California Nation with Hal G. Lohr speaking for the hashtag New Cal Exit podcast, Red Star Report, as heard on KPFK 90.7 Los Angeles, Rebel Alliance News. For our final thought this week, Nazis in Ohio face off with drag queens reading storybooks in Wadsworth Park. And no, that's not a 1980s song lyric. It's a real live headline about an actual event that happened in what most Red Staters will tell you is the real America this past weekend. Today's America, through the crystal-knocked fractured version of the fascist-looking glass. And this is really happening more and more all across what we once thought was the United States of America. For more perspective on this stuff, we go to California Dreaming with Darrin Brown right now.
Hey, Rebels. Today, I need to talk to you about something that happened this weekend. something that didn't get a whole lot of media coverage, so you may not even be aware of it, but you should be. So we all know the past several months, the right wing has really been increasing their attack on LGBTQ folks all over Fox News, right-wing media, podcasts, social media. There's been this relentless rhetoric about grooming and pedophilia and all this type of thing. Tucker Carlson has platformed libs of TikTok. Evangelical preachers have stood at their pulpits and called for the murders of gays and lesbians. We've had over 350 anti-LGBTQ bills advance in state legislatures all across the country, including, get this, 29 in Texas alone. 29. Yeah, so fuck Texas. We've seen countless incidences of stochastic terrorism and targeted terrorism. The Q Club shooting in Colorado, the Patriot Front white supremacist group in Idaho that was arrested a few months ago. We've seen public book burnings, over 120 threats and attacks against drag shows and drag performers all across the country in 2022 alone. And we've seen Proud Boys and other militia groups show up to libraries and school board meetings and city council meetings, threatening people and causing a lot of chaos. So LGBTQ folks are really in the crosshairs right now. So given all that, it shouldn't be surprising what happened this past weekend. So in Norfolk, Virginia, there is a small scientific research institute that conducts research on human sexuality, gender identity, and queer studies. The institute holds an activist group that fights for LGBTQ rights and fights against some of this legislation that I described that's come forward in these state legislatures. It also offers resources for contraception, marriage and sex counseling, gynecological services, transition therapy, and general sex education. So it does a lot of different things. Well, on Saturday, a group of Proud Boys attacked this institute. They broke into their offices. They gained access to all of their files and documents and records, and they damaged their computers. One of the Proud Boys even stood up and gave a speech to the rest of their members about how by doing this, they were simply defending Western civilization and American values. They then took all the files, records, and books that they could gather. They brought them out in public and held a book burning, a bonfire in public. And the estimates are now that up to 20,000 books and files may already have been destroyed. Now, as I said, it really shouldn't be surprising that something like this could happen in America, and indeed, it did happen in America. But you might be wondering, why have I not heard about this before? Why is there no media coverage about this? Why is this the first time that I'm learning about this event? Well, I'll tell you why. So the reason that you haven't heard about this event in the media is because it did not happen this past Saturday. It did not happen in Virginia. I've actually been lying to you the past few minutes. This event occurred on May 6th, 1933, at the Institute for Sexology in Berlin, Germany. The attack was not carried out by the Proud Boys, of course. It was carried out by the German Student Union, who are a group of young brown shirts, and they were joined a few days later by the SA, the official paramilitary wing of the Nazis. Folks, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't see the historical parallels, you don't want to see them. You want to pretend not to see them. And the attack I just described to you was one of the first major acts of political terrorism conducted by the Nazis. It occurred just a few months after Hitler was appointed chancellor and just a few weeks after the Reichstag fire. Is there any doubt in anyone's mind that something similar could happen after the next Republican president is elected? I don't doubt it. And this is something you need to understand about these fascists. They always go after the most vulnerable groups first. You see this in every authoritarian fascist regime. One of the first groups they go after is the queer community. Why? Two reasons. So the first, as I said, is they're vulnerable. They're easy to attack. They're a minority. It's easy to scapegoat them. And a lot of people will just turn their heads and pretend that they don't see what's going on. But there's a second reason, and this is even the more important reason. And that is that the mere existence of queer people is a threat to the fascist worldview. So what do I mean by that? Well, the fascist worldview is built on hierarchy and domination and rigid boundaries between groups of people. Rigid boundaries with no nuance, no ambiguity, no shades of gray. Everything's black and white. And queer people don't fit into any of these well-defined groups. They blur the lines. They defy easy categories. They don't accept rigid boundaries and definitions of who they are. So because of that, their mere existence is a threat to the whole fascist worldview. And they can't accept that. They can't take that. And that's why they're attacking these folks. That's the real reason. That's why they can't stop talking about grooming and pedophilia and saving the children and on and on. That's what this is about. And if you think they're going to stop with the queer community, I really have to question your intelligence. You could be the richest, the whitest, the most privileged, most religious, faithfully, weekly church-going Christian male in the country. And the moment you stand up for these people and their rights, the moment you express solidarity with them, they will treat you as if there's no distinction between you and them. They will say you're a fake Christian, you're demonic, they'll call you a traitor. So they don't care how often you go to church, how half of them don't even go to church regularly anyway. And you'll be up against the wall with everyone else. So if you don't see the direction that this movie is playing out, I don't know what else to tell you. The parallels are so obvious. It's really, you have to work hard to ignore it. So I don't know what else to say. Back to you, Hal.
Thank you, Darrin. Insightful, if not terrifying. As news headlines focus on books getting banned or how simply being socially aware is becoming illegal in red states under anti-woke legislation, it's easy as Californians to forget that it's really the rotting American foundation of white supremacy and hate consuming the American soul. a very nature of the American psyche that everyone across the American political media spectrum seemed to be performing sociological gymnastics to dismiss as just a passing phase of cultural division in the U.S. Unfortunately for that narrative, more and more Californians are coming to the dawning realization that the real reason the American political system is broken is because the real Americans just can't be fixed. The American experiment in actual freedom and democracy peaked, plateaued, and it's begun its inevitable descent into fascist rule, and it happened the moment red state Americans hit their evolutionary wall. A modern demonstration for the age-old question that if man evolved from apes, why are there still monkeys, with the simple answer being that some monkeys never left the trees? For the California independence movement, this point has always been very clear. If Americans cannot or will not evolve as a culture, as a society, why would Californians want to stay with those monkeys stuck in those trees? Take all the time in the world you need to let that sink in. That's podcast number 7 of our 3rd season. As always, for more Red Star Report information, check out our website at redstarreport.com. Please subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel, that thing you're watching this on. Go to our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter page, and Instagram page, and give us a like, give us a follow, because if you want to support the real California independence movement, hashtag New Cal Exit Media Group, it's all about the algorithms. And please, click that link below and go show some love and support for our friends at listener-supported radio, KPFK 90.7 Los Angeles. Our thanks to you and all our Red Star Rebels for watching. We are Red Star Report.